Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. No matter where you are, which country you are in, which society you are in, which culture you are in, this moment, let's meet together. Meet each other truly. To explore the mind, to investigate the mind thoroughly, carefully. To understand, to really observe what is going on the mind at this moment, at each moment. That's meditation. A very complicated topic, a very big business. Because the mind is the world. The world is the mind. What is going on in the outer world is mere the projection of the inner world. The human world is the collective human consciousness. All the problems on this planet, on this world, in this world, human beings have been wanting more than a daily living. Wanting to become something, achieve something, obtaining something. In that very seeking, the life itself becomes very boring. The mind always wants to find something more exciting. Demanding more stimulation, excitement. In that seeking, the minds become restless. To get rid of being bored, the mind has to find pleasure, something exciting. To keep life motivated, stimulated. This becomes a very common thing. Even becomes a standard in the culture, in society. When everyone is wanting to be something, want to achieve something, the daily living is totally ignored. But as long as the mind moves away from the daily living, the mind is inevitably in disorder. The human mind has the capacity to thinking, creating a lot of thoughts, a lot of ideas, inventions. So the thoughts create a different world. The mind finds that it can go beyond the daily living in the domain of thoughts. But as long as the mind begins to seek, what the mind is seeking is destroyed by the seeking itself. The very seeking itself creates the disturbance of the mind. Disturbing the mind, depriving the mind from peace. To meditate is to really observe ourselves, this habit of seeking in daily life. As long as the mind begins to seek, no matter what it is seeking, the achievement, the result, a goal. All behind those is the pleasure seeking. The mind takes pleasure from any ideas it finds pleasurable. In that very seeking, the mind creates a unit, an entity. That entity feels pleasurable, feels excited. And that entity itself is the ego. Seeking is like a disease. It is so contagious. It has spread almost to all the human beings on this planet. And many societies are built based on this seeking. Seeking more, seeking all kinds of pleasure. And the self becomes so important. The personal welfare, the personal benefit, the personal ambition, the personal motivation. When the mind seeks pleasure, the self is pleasure. The very seeking pleasure inevitably brings about pain. So the self becomes the pain, the issue, the problems. When the self is running on the mind, in the head, the self creates a lot of illusions, imaginations, a lot of deceptions. The self want to pursue eternal pleasure, permanent pleasure. So the self is doing all kinds of things to sustain the pleasure, which is actually transient. So such a life which is keeps seeking pleasure in the hope of sustaining the pleasure. It's a life full of turbulence. the pleasure never stays. It comes and goes in a moment. But a mind which is trapped by the self can't really see this. The mind still wants to achieve the permanence of pleasure, which is, of course, an impossible task. At the same time, the mind dislikes anything which is not pleasurable, the opposite of pleasure. The very seeking pleasure creates the duality, the pleasure, and the opposite. And the very seeking pleasure also implies rejecting anything unpleasant. So the mind wants the unpleasurable stay as short as possible. You see the hypocrisy. You see the double-sized standard of the mind. On the one hand, the mind wants to permanent pleasure. At the same time, the mind rejects anything unpleasant. So the mind is trying its best to get rid of the unpleasant. But the more the mind wants to get rid of it, the longer the unpleasant stay. Because the very getting rid of means the mind still give continuous focus on the unpleasant, which blocks the unpleasant despair. So, such a life is inevitably turbulent. Full of contradictions, confusions. Because what is taking place is only in the domain of thoughts. Thoughts is a very small part of life. Very, very small part. But a mind which is trapped in thoughts, which is also trapped by the self, mistakes the thoughts as the whole world. In that distorted world, which is very limited, the mind makes effort. The mind is struggling. Such a mind doesn't know that there is a vast world beyond any measurement, beyond any thoughts. And that world itself is the nature, it's the daily living. The mind wants to go beyond the daily living, ends up being trapped in a very narrow place. Which are created by thoughts. And the human society is based on this narrow world, totally isolating human beings from the nature. In that small, narrow, distorted world, people are struggling, competing, comparing, wanting more, getting more. And that small world, that narrow world, is encroaching the planet to satisfy the desire of the distorted mind, creating all kinds of climate issues, all kinds of crises. A mind that wants to go beyond the daily living destroys the daily living, therefore destroys itself eventually. And this is what is happening globally on this planet. This situation is not only the social issues, it's also the personal mental challenge, the all kinds of disorder, all kinds of problems. A mind that wants to go beyond the daily living is no longer peaceful. And the pleasure is not the alternative. It's not the alternative to peace. Nothing can replace peace. The society is based on thoughts. So people living in a society feels easy. Sometimes relaxed, but I'm often also stressed. To meditate is to really see the danger in the society. We don't deny the benefit of a human society, but we have to be realized, we have to be aware of the danger of the society. The thoughts, in all kinds of forms, including the self, the ego. That's the real danger to life. Without a society, we are living in the wild. That physical danger is understandable. But when we are living in a society, as we are all living in now, the society itself has this mental construct. In that construct, there's also danger. That's the thoughts. That's all the things that make us be away from this moment. So to live a life peacefully, no matter where you are, which society you are in, is to really have this awareness, of this alertness to the danger, the real danger in the society. That's the thoughts. Anything that make you away from this moment is in nature a danger. So to meditate is to really give all your energy to this moment. Can be the belly, can be anywhere. Focus on the part you feel most. As you breathe out, be aware that you are breathing out. Feel the sensation of breathing out. The region can be the nostrils, can be the belly, can be anywhere. Focus on the part you feel most. Fix your attention on the breath. Let go of any thought, words, images. This moment, nothing is more important than breath. while you are listening to the bell, check where your attention is. If it wasn't on the breath, after the bell, gently invite your attention back to the breath and sustain your attention on the breath. Slowly bring your awareness back to this room. Feel into your body. Wiggle your fingers and toes. When you are ready, open your eyes. Hopefully, the past 10 minutes has brought you some peace and calm. To live in a society, for most people, they try their best to conform themselves to the pattern of the society in the hope for an easy life. But such an easy life might not be really easy. When the mind loses the guard against the danger, loses this alertness, this sensitivity, the ease of life can easily turn into issues, problems. So, to live an easy life is probably different from living a peaceful life. A peaceful life needs one to be really sensitive, really alert for all kinds of triggers, dangers in life. Such a mind dares to question, dares to challenge, to investigate, to see the falsification, to see all kinds of nonsensical stuff in life, to really defend the mind at this moment. This moment is the real home. This moment is the real shelter, the real harbor for a peaceful and joyful mind. Great. That's all for today's session. And thank you for everybody being here from different countries, different places. It's a pleasure to meet truly here, to look at the mind, to inquire into the life issues together. And hopefully, everybody can bring meditation to the life to live a life as meditation. To observe, to see, to inquire at each moment, to be really alone mentally. Enjoyed the daily living, the daily life. And thank you again for people joining the session from Inside Timer, from Zoom, from YouTube. And hopefully we can see each other again in the future sessions to inquire together again. So some friends ask how often the session is being organized. It is usually on Monday. Every Monday, 7 p.m. Amsterdam time, Paris time. So, again, take care. See you in the future sessions. Bye.